Yo, what's going on? It's the Kid XV, and y'all checking out Ambrosia for Heads. Busy. The first piece of music I would say I bought with my own money was Puff Daddy's No Way Out. That was the first album, and it was my first dirty album too, because my parents would never let me, they would always buy me clean versions. Like, nah, you ain't listening to dirty versions. So they bought me, so I went out and bought my own, snuck it and everything, and bought Puff Daddy's No Way Out. I believe that was 1997. And I was a huge Mace fan, so I was like, Mace and Big, that's all I listened to, especially it's weird because me being from Wichita, Kansas. I grew up on records, my dad was a DJ, and I just grew up on soul records. Like my whole life, Mom used to, clean the house to all kinds of soul music and, Delphonics and Marvin Gaye and, Marvin and Tammy, all kinds of stuff. And when I heard hip hop incorporate so much of that, and that's a lot in 1996, 1997, Reasonable Doubt, Ready to Die and No Way Out, of course, had that samples it, but it was like crispy drums. It's weird because that's that's kind of hip hop I still love to this day. Even in 2011, I could pop that in the deck right now, and it sounds like a new album still, and it's just I felt like that incorporated with the stories that were being told on that album, and it was just the hood life, but the good life mixed together so well. It had so many hits on that album, and that was my first piece of music that made me want to start writing raps. This is crazy. The first song I remember learning all the words to was "Hey" by Crucial Conflict. It's a group out of Chi-Town. Hey, in the middle of the bar. I remember when I heard it, I was like, yo. First off, I knew the sample, because that's a really well-known sample. Like I said, I grew up on old school music. So when I heard the sample, I was like, oh snap, they flipped that crazy. And they rapping so fast, constantly smoking trees. And I remember that, And the patterns were so dope that I wanted to write down every word. I wanted to learn everything they were saying. I wrote down every word, I just rapped it nonstop. I rapped it so much that when people did ciphers in my school, I would rap the Crucial Conflict. Mind you, I'm from Kansas, so a lot of people didn't know about other kind of music. So when I rapped it as if it was my own. I remember this girl, Donisha, if you're watching this, that wasn't me. So I got in there, and Donisha's in there. I'm about to impress her. I was like, I'm smoking on it, and everybody's like, ooh, XB killing it. Not even knowing that I was rapping Crucial Conflict song, but that was the first song that I remember learning top to bottom, every lyric too. My first favorite rapper was Jay-Z. I remember hearing him on, I want to say, was it Young? It was either Young G's, Young G's on No Way Out, from a Young G's perspective, and I was like, whoa, this dude, because I was already a Biggie fan, but I grew up on Pac, but I couldn't listen to it. Like I said, No Way Out's my first dirty album, so I never really listened to Pac when I was growing up. So when I bought No Way Out and I heard Jay, I was like, dude, this dude is crazy. I became a fan of him, and from that point on, I bought every single album, and the album The Blueprint, changed my whole life. That was, I remember that day, because it was 9/11 when that dropped, and I remember going and buying that album, and the world's in chaos. Everybody's thinking we're about to go to war, we're about to get bombed again, this is about to happen, and this is about to happen, and instead I'm skipping school, going to Best Buy, buying Blueprint. I was like, when it happened, the first thing I thought was, Blueprint's still coming out, right? That's crazy, right? I'm like, I hope Blueprint's still come out. And I went to the Best Buy and do y'all have Blueprint? I remember buying it. It was a cover where the Blueprint was over it, and I went and bought it, sent in my homeboy's car, popped it in, and just sat back and just listened to the whole album from beginning to end. I didn't leave the parking lot. I stayed in the parking lot, listened to the whole album, and it's just if it was like a movie, I'd be sitting in this car and the whole world's just burning around me. because that's what it was like. I remember everybody was outside on their phones looking out, like waiting for a plane to fly by, because I'm from the air capital. So it looked like we about to go to war, you know? And it's just crazy how music took me out of that. It took me out of the fact that 7,000 people just lost their life today. I'm just sitting here just listening to this man tell his story through music, and it connected with me. My very first time I got to like touch the culture was the Hard Knock Life tour. My mom don't even know this. I act like I ran away, and like, cause I was really bad when I was young. So I ran away and act like I was like, I hate you all, and I ran away. But I really went on my boy's crib and we drove to Denver and went to the Hard Knock Life tour, because it never came around Kansas. You know, we had Kansas City, but it wasn't in Kansas City, so it was in Denver. And I remember driving that, and that was the first time I got to see a crowd of people watching hip hop, and somebody saying, "Put your hands up," and everybody's hands go up. And you know, they say hell yeah, you're like hell yeah. Like, I remember being in that crowd and just watching them command stage. And you have to remember, this concert was Method Man, Redman, DMX, Ja Rule, Jay-Z, Beanie Siegel, Emil, all when they're at their height. You know what I mean? This is like seeing the greats play right there in Madison Square Garden. It's like seeing that. And I was just like, wow, this is amazing. I was 10 years old. I have a video of this where I'm videotaping my cousin Ant, Slim the Mobster, rap a freestyle for me. He's like, you know, freestyle like, I'm in the house with Donovan and on and it's 1995, so it's like, you know, you swaying like this when you rap. And when I remember recording that moment, I was like, oh, I turned the camera around and I'm like, oh, my cousin's crazy. And I knew when I got back on that plane at 10 years old, when I got back on that plane, I knew that this is what I'm going to do. I love music. I'm going to make music. I don't know if I'm going to make beats. I don't know if I'm going to sing. I don't know if I'm going to rap. I'm doing music. And that's why my name's so significant to me, my name XV. Because at the age of 15, I decided that this is going to be my career. And I want to be able to look back at it when I'm 26 years old and be like, when you turn 15 years old, you told yourself that this is what you want to do. 10 years later, I signed a record deal from that. And I'll never forget it, because I remember making up that name, writing that name on a textbook and being like, yeah, that looks dope, XV. So I'll always remember this age when I'm older and be like, yeah, he did it when he was 15 years old. And he kept going, he kept going. He just had a dream, an astronaut dream. You know, when you're a kid and somebody says, what do you want to be when you grow up? You say astronaut, a police officer, a firefighter. I said a musician. And that was in the 5th grade. And now I'm a musician. It's an astronaut dream, you know? So yeah.